Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to have you here with us. Have you ever been on the mountaintop? And as you ascended from that mountaintop, the mountain begins to sink. I've titled this nugget, When the Mountain Begins to Sink, God Can Be Found in a Whisper. And we're picking up in First Kings chapter 19, verses 11 through 13. And this is where we find Elijah. Elijah just came from this great victory with God, where he killed over 400 and something prophets of Baal. He proved to Israel and to all of those who were watching that our God is God. And as we find Elijah coming down off of the mountain, he receives a message. And this message is from Jezebel. And this message tells Elijah, within 24 hours, the very thing that you did to those prophets, I'm going to do to you. And it says that he feared and he fled. So Elijah is just coming off of this great victory. And he gets a message and he takes off in fear. Have you ever been to the mountain and as you was coming down, the mountain begins to sink? And so it says Elijah began to isolate himself. He left his servant and he went to sit upon the tree. And it says while he was sitting under this tree, Elijah said, I've had enough. Have you ever been in a battle that the battle's been so fierce that when you come down off of the mountain, you're exhausted? We find Elijah in this place where Elijah just wants to sleep. I'm pretty sure Elijah probably said, and I don't care if I wake up in the morning. He was just that dejected and that tired and that depressed. But the beauty about God is that God will not leave us to waddle in our self-pity. He will not allow us to stay at our own pity party. And this is what happened to Elijah. God sent an angel, and the angel said, get up and eat. So we know that Elijah was so tired and so dejected that he didn't even eat. He wasn't even feeding himself or taking care of himself. So God sent an angel and said, get up and eat. And it said that he ate bread and water. And then he went back to sleep. But then the angel came back again and said, get up and eat. Because the journey that you're about to take, you're going to need nourishment. God is so good that even in our valleys, he's still providing. He's still nourishing. He's still making sure that we have what we need. And so we see Elijah getting up and going to Mount Sinai. Now, Mount Sinai is the very place that Moses sat with God at the burning bush. And we see God and Elijah having a conversation, and Elijah is saying, I'm the only one. I'm the only one, basically, and I'm paraphrasing. I'm the only one still fighting. I'm the only one who's trusting you. I'm the only one who's trying to bring your word. Have you ever been in that place where you felt like you were the only one? Have you ever been in a place where you hear the enemy whispering to you, nobody else is going through this. Nobody else is having to carry this. Nobody else is suffering through this. Have you ever been in that place? This is where we find Elijah. Elijah is saying, ain't nobody else doing the work. I'm the only one doing the work. And so it says that him and God was having this conversation. But before he began that conversation, God asked him, what are you doing here? Why are you here? You just came off of this great victory. Why are you here? And it said that Elijah went up to the mountain. God sent him up there to the cave of the mountain, the mouth of the mountain, basically. And it says that God broke open the mountains, and the wind was not in the mountains. And it said God brought an earthquake, and the wind was not in the earthquake. And it says, and God brought a fire, and the wind was not in the fire. And then it says, but a small, still voice came. And God spoke to him in that whisper. And he told him to go back to where he came from. A lot of times when we find ourselves with our mountain sinking, we think that we can hear the whisper in a conference. We think that we can hear the whisper in a rally somewhere. Sometimes we even try to find the whisper in the church. But God is saying, no, the whisper is going to be found in your heart. So he's telling Elijah to go back. But he's also whispering to Elijah to face his fears. You know, God will always send you back to the very thing that you fear, because it gives him an opportunity to help you build your faith muscles. And so we see Elijah being directed to go back. So God is sending him back. I don't know if you're in your valley now, or you're in a place where you feel that the mountain is beginning to sink. But God says you're not going to find a whisper in all these other places. He's saying, come and get quiet. Come to a place where you can hear me. That's where you're going to find the whisper. And if you're running in fear, and if you're running away from something that God is calling you to, his whisper is more likely going to be to go back. He said the same thing to Hannah. Go back. And so sit in your quiet place. Let God whisper to you where he can be found. And whatever he tells you to do, do. Now, I hope you've been blessed by this little nugget. I pray that God will continue to bless you, keep you, strengthen you. And so when you find yourself on the valley, whether you're in the valley or the mountaintop, God is still victorious. He is still self-sustaining. He is still Almighty God. And he can be found in the whisper. God bless you, and I'll see you soon.